Good afternoon, doctor and my friends. My name is Lindsay Hang. My metric number is 277539. Today, Group 2 are going to present for the case study 1, which involve Part A and Part B. The table of entities and activities for the sales order system was involved 6 entities, and they are customer, sales department, computer operations department, warehouse department, billing department, and account receivable department. The customer will place an order through online, mail, or telephone. In sales department, the clerk will receive the customer order, and then he will enter the information into the computer terminal. After that, he will print 4 copies of the sale order after the orders have been approved and file one of the orders in the sales department. The left, he will send the copy to the billing department, warehouse, and customer. In computer operations department, the online orders are entered automatically by the system, and it will edit the transactions for data entry errors and checks the customer credit by referencing a credit history file. After that, the system will create sales transactions into the digital sales journal from his terminal, and the sales process will continue in the sales department after the order has been approved. In the warehouse department, the clerk will use the sales order as a stock release document to pick up the requested items and manually prepares a bill of lading and a packaging slip which accompany the goods to the carrier. The clerk accesses the computer terminal and creates a digital shipping notice for the billing department and files the sales order copy in the department. The billing department clerk will access the digital shipping notice on his terminal and reconciles the hard copy sales order. And then he will print out 2 copies of the invoice, which will send to the account receivable department and the customer. After that, the clerk will file the sale order copy in the billing department. In account receivable department, the clerk will create a digital record of account receivable subsidiary ledger from his terminal based on the receipt of the hard copy invoice and files the invoice copy in the department. This is the context diagram for the sales order system, which involves the customer and the carrier. This is the logical data flow diagram of the sales order system, which using the information from the table of the entities and activities. This is the flow chart of the successful uniform Berhad cycle of the sales order system, and it also use the information from the table of the entities and activities. The table of entities and activities of the cash receipt system was involved 4 entities, which are the mailroom, accounts receivable department, cash receipt department, and general ledger. In mailroom, the customer payment and remittance advice will come into the mailroom, and the clerk will open and separate the documents. After that, the clerk will send the remittance advice to account receivable and the checks to the cash receipt department. In accounts receivable department, the clerk will access the customer account in the digital account receivable ledger from a terminal, and it will update the respective customer account balance accordingly. Then he will file the remittance advice in the departments. In cash receipt department, the clerk will receive the checks and post the checks to the cash receipt journal. After that, he will manually prepare a hard copy deposit slip and send it with the checks to the bank. In general ledger, the system will prepare the batch total of the sales and cash receipt transaction, and then it will post them automatically to the respective control accounts in the digital general ledger. This is the context diagram of the cash receipt system, which involves the customer and the bank. This is the logical data flow diagram of the cash receipt system, which using the information of the table of the entities and activities. This is the flowchart of the successful uniform cycle of the cash receipt system, and also using the information from the table of entities and activities.
Good day. In the sales order system, computer program automatically edits the transactions for data entry error. They shows the data input edits. The strength is checking for missing data, valid data values and numeric alphabetic data. These strengths will decrease the risk of undetected data entry errors by clerks and risk of inaccurate record keeping. After that, computer program will check the customer's credit by referencing a credit history file. This situation shows automated credit checking. The strength is using the credit history file to make the decision to allow or deny credit of SSU's customer. This situation already prevents that fraud event about sales to uncreditworthy customers to increase sales clerks' commission of SSUs. In the cash receipt procedures, they already separate the cash receipt function and accounts receivable function. This action shows the segregation of duties. The strength is preventing the SSU clerk who responsibility for both tasks will write off the account receivable as a bad debt after they stole the customer's check. Then the risk of asset embezzlement is reduced. From every department will keep all the source documents needed in respective departments. This action shows the accounting records. The strengths of the accounting records help the SSU to capture the economic nature of transactions and provide an audit trail to SSU. This will let the auditor to trace the transaction of SSU easily.
My name is Xuan Wei and my metric number is 280718. Today I would like to present the questions. Identify at least 5 possible weaknesses in the SSU revenue cycle examined and provide an appropriate argument of each weakness highlighted. In the SSU revenue cycle, the first weakness is the lack of formal authorizations in the documentations. The warehouse clerk used the sales order as a stock release document to pick up the requested item from the sale. These actions demonstrate the absence of the formal documentations. Next, the second weakness in the SSU revenue cycle is the lack of segregations of duty, as the clerk prepare the bill of lading and packaging slip. In the meantime, the same clerk also pick up the order from the warehouse. On top of that, the third weakness in the SSU revenue cycle is the unavailability of verifications, as the mailroom clerk instantly send the remittance advice and send the check to the subsequent department without any reconciliations. Furthermore, the fourth weakness in the SSU revenue cycle is the insufficiency of accounting records. The cash receipt clerk receives the check and posts them to the cash receipt journal from his terminal. The clerk may make mistake when recording the cash receipt transaction without the remittance list. Lastly, the fifth weakness in the SSU revenue cycle is that the clerk who updates the cash receipt journal is the one who prepares the deposit slip and sends it with the check to the bank. This action shows there is a lack of segregation of duty.
Good afternoon, doctor and my friends. My name is Limwini and my metric number is 280607. The first risk exposure is the risk of shipping wrong products or inaccurate quantities. The process of manually selecting the goods from the shelves by the warehouse clerk without referring to a stock release document will raise the risk of making mistakes in shipping the wrong products. Next, the second risk is the risk of thieving of inventory. Non-cash misappropriations or thieving of inventory may be occur when there are 2 or more activities performed by the same employees, because it's easier for he or she to steal the inventory at the warehouse without being noticed by the others. The third risk is the risk of errors going unnoticed. Without the remittance list, there might be errors or mistakes occurring at any process because the remittance list is very important to detect any loss or embezzlements of the checks. Besides, the risk of recording inaccurate transactions in journals and accounts is the fourth risk exposure. The transactions in journals and accounts may have inaccurate amounts because the cash receipt clerk does not use the remittance list to check the accuracy and the completeness of the checks before posting them to the journals. And the last risk exposure is the risk of thieving of cash receipts. The cash receipt may commit a lapping fraud or sneak away with checks and write it off as a bad debt when he or she perform two or more activities.
For the first weakness, the appropriate internal control procedure is transaction authorization. Sales order is not the standardized documents for inventory picking. Thus, every department in SSU must use the standardized documents to access certain functions. It ensures that only valid transactions and approved access are processed. Next, the internal control procedure associated with the second weakness is IT control. SSU can implement an automated document generating system to ease the preparation of essential documents such as bill of lading and packaging slip. This auto-generated system can minimize human errors. Besides, we have independent verification. The employees can do reconciliation and cross-checks between documents. Verification by higher authority also helps to ensure the records are free from errors. According to the fourth weakness, the suitable internal control procedure is accounting records. Each department in SSU must provide a detailed audit trail so that it is easier to track down all the financial transactions recorded. Hence, it prevents fraudulent reporting cases. Lastly, we have segregation of duties. SSU should assign different tasks to different employees. The more tasks are divided, the less likely a single individual is to conduct unethical practices.
The first way is localizer exploitation, such as inventory control system, computer-aided design, and customer order entry system results in business transformation. This system minimizes the inefficiency of business processes. The small and medium enterprises in Malaysia have received the government grant. They can use the grant to do localizer exploitation, such as payroll, and automation of business transaction system to enhance revenue and expenditure cycles. These applications are suitable for SMEs because of their easy installation and operation and also the less costly. This method will help Malaysian SMEs lay the foundation for transformation from a conventional platform to a digital business operation.
The second point is internal integration. Internal integration involves mixing all activities from various departments such as warehouse, shipping departments, and building department. Enterprise Application Integration (EAI) is an example of internal integration. With the help of EAI, the digital business information system and the data flow will be flexible and efficient, and it maintains the information integrity within multiple systems. EAI also simplifies the business process and reduces the work required by the development and maintenance in managing the revenue and expenditure cycle. That's all from me. Thank you.
Under the business process re-engineering, a business can implement the e-procurement system to acquire raw materials via electronic data interchange or EDI. The e-procurement system incorporates a web-based system to shorten the process cycle time and reduce expenditure costs.
The next solution is by applying the business network redesign. The business network redesign intends to develop the business concept faster and more efficiently to customer demands and enhance the inter-organizational processes. First, the company should analyze the impacts of e-filing system on the tax preparation market before creating an initial model of how the digital management changes the business operations. Next, the company should create its own online shop to provide the customer with the latest business nature. Finally, to create an online shop, the company must build an e-commerce platform which allows a change from a traditional business to a digital business.
A way of applying information technology to transform a business from a conventional platform to digital business operations is business scope redefinitions. The business scope redefinitions is a broadening of company focus. It is facilitated by IT features. It also directly impacts the logic of business interactions within the extended business network, enabling company to provide entirely new service and enter new markets. As a result of the role, business transition from their established business save constraints and invent new business model that entirely use IT. For example, an entity use IT such as artificial intelligence, AI, customer service, and cloud computing accounting system. Those innovations transform conventional business into digital business.